gamers, hardcore or casual, there will always be differing opinions on games. This, of course, is understandable, since having different thoughts on subjects is part of what makes us human. However, there are some games I feel get too much hatred than they deserve, as well as some games that don't get enough attention, period. That's why I'm going to honor the games that I like that people either don't know about or get too much hatred. Now, there's a very good chance that your favorite indie game or Japanese game won't be on the list because I can't play every single game in existence like you want me to. So, just be prepared for that. Anyway, I guess I'd better quit my rambling and get started. Command & Conquer Generals. This is an unusual game since it takes place during modern times rather than futuristic or historical like most RTS games. No one seems to talk about this series though, and when it does get brought up they usually either mention the Red Alert series or the Tiberium series. I'll talk about both for a bit. I've only played one Tiberium game in the series, the third one. I think it's pretty good. I haven't played it in a long time, but from what I remember, I liked it. I played Red Alert 2, and I honestly didn't like it. I don't know, something about the gameplay seemed a little off, and I just couldn't get accustomed to it. Now I'll talk about Generals. This was the game that seemed to play like an RTS game should the most. The gameplay was simple, but not confusing, and it was easy to get used to, and was pretty fun. The campaign was a blast too. You'll know that I'll always find appreciation of using American forces to take down terrorists. One could argue that the story might bring it down a bit, since it's just a generic terrorists want to kill people shtick, but I think it works to its advantage. Since the campaign is more of a series of missions that help you get used to the gameplay rather than an epic adventure, it keeps the real focus on the skirmishes and multiplayer. This may not be able to match the epic proportions of StarCraft 2 or Company of Heroes, but if you like RTS games, be sure to give this one a chance. You might just find that you like it. SpongeBob SquarePants, Creature from the Krusty Krab. I was originally going to put Battle for Bikini Bottom on this list, but after Fawful's Minion put it on his countdown, I think it's been getting more popularity. Not to mention that basically everyone who played it admits that they loved it. With Creature from the Krusty Krab, though, a lot of people seem to hate it. Apparently they like to complain that the game is too short. That may be, but there's a lot of bonus content to guarantee you coming back. Also, when it comes to gameplay, this is one of the most varied games I've ever played. The variety of things you do in this game is amazing. You drive a hot rod, you patrol the streets as a superhero, you run from a giant sandwich, you fly a rocket, you rampage through the town as a giant monster. This seriously rivals Mario Party as one of the most creative games I've ever played, not to mention one of the weirdest. Battle for Bikini Bottom is a truly great game, and if you like that one, you should give Creature from the Krusty Krab a chance. Even if you don't like it, you can at least admit that it was a game that had a lot of effort put into it. Super Paper Mario. We're all familiar with how epic and dark the story is, and that's the feature that everyone loves. What they're mostly split on is the gameplay. Some say that it felt off and Nintendo was trying to do too much with it, while others simply lambast it for not being the same as the other Paper Mario games. That argument is held back by one common fact about video games: they're always changing. If game developers just did the same thing all the time, there would be no creativity in their games. There would be no point to owning it whatsoever. Everyone could just stick to the game they first had, nothing would change, and they would miss out on nothing, and my god!
Note: The Gaming Cat originally released a joke centering around the fact that he thought Battlefield 4 was going to suck because he thought it looked uninspired and nearly the same as Battlefield 3. However, after an article on it was published in the recent Game Informer, he no longer thinks that's the case. He has therefore retracted his statement to avoid looking biased, credibility lacking, and causing a bunch of Battlefield fanboys to have hurt buttocks.
Anyway, I actually like the gameplay of Super Paper Mario. It felt kind of like the combination of an RPG with a platformer, and it felt rather fluid to me. Yeah, at times the 3D flipping felt a little odd, especially in space, but overall I'd say that the gameplay worked to its advantage. I can see why some people may not like this game, but that's probably just because it's not for you. If you're one of the people who likes this game, you're not alone. But if you try to defend Sticker Star, I'm gonna take a Gracie Spork and shove it so far up your... Sorry, that got a little out of hand. The Metal Slug franchise. When run-and-gun games are brought up, everyone always thinks of Contra. That's understandable since a lot of people grew up with this game and they get nostalgic value from it. But what surprises me is that no one ever brings up Metal Slug. Why is that? Is it because the gameplay remains largely the same throughout the series? Maybe so, but so does Contra's. Is it because you can't aim as in many directions as Contra? Well, the enemies aren't as crazy or spastic as in Contra, so it's hardly a problem. Is it because they're disturbed that whenever you rescue a POW, they give you ammo that they hid in their pants? Come on, don't act like you've never done that before. If you ask me, these games are just as good as any game in the Contra series, and it's definitely one to look into if you like running and gunning. If you enjoy games like Contra, Earthworm Jim, or Commando, give Metal Slug a try. Just don't be influenced to always walk around with a gun in your pants. You might be stared at. Star Fox Assault. This was the first console game I ever owned, and I freaking loved it. The main game? Brilliant. It had a ton of variety to it, with a lot of weapons and power-ups. The story? Actually kind of interesting. The story of an unheard alien species threatening civilization can always be at least a little fun. Multiplayer? Loads of fun. Me, my sister, and my best friend would spend hours playing this game together. You know, this game is so much fun, I'm gonna see what other people think of it. Well, I wasn't expecting that. I just don't get why people don't like this game. One complaint that I hear is that there's not as much flying as there was in the previous games. I'm gonna repeat what I said about Super Paper Mario. Video games are always changing, and I really thought that it worked extremely well here. Being able to go from flying to foot soldiering to driving a tank is a ton of fun. Another complaint that I hear is that it's too short. I don't see it. Yeah, there's only 10 missions, but they aren't exactly the definition of short, if you ask me. And even if they were, the multiplayer is something that ensures that you'll keep coming back. To me, it's what the GoldenEye multiplayer should have been. Assault is definitely one to check out if you like the Star Fox series. Andros may be dead, but this game proves that there's still great adventure to be had.